Hi, I'm Lisa Mabli, and this is What Would Lisa Say, where you will hear my unfiltered opinion about all kinds of topics that people ask regarding Scrum and agility and best practices. So right now I'm going to tell you what I think about planning poker. A lot of times people ask, do we have to do planning poker? Which, if you haven't done planning poker, is you actually use cards with story point values on them, and you flash your card so that the whole team can provide their story point estimate simultaneously. So, do you have to do planning poker? No. Do you have to use a deck of cards? No, absolutely not. I have seen a couple of Scrum Masters who feel like you're not doing Agile if you're not doing planning poker. You absolutely do not have to use cards. The key here, and I want you to remember why we use this kind of tool, is simply so that everybody gives their estimate simultaneously. The reasons for this are very clear. We as human beings tend to get anchored, especially on numbers. We can't help it. It's just what we do. So if anybody in the room calls out a 3, everybody in the room is naturally going to start anchoring on the 3 value. It doesn't matter if you say it's 3 o'clock. The whole team is going to start story pointing things at 3. I'm not kidding. This has actually happened. So backed up by lots of science too, by the way. So do you have to use cards? No. Do you have to make sure that everybody speaks their story point estimate at the same time? Yes, because if that person who calls out their number first happens to be a manager or a lead dev, then the entire team is going to feel very uncomfortable if they think it's a different number. So we want to have the right kinds of conversations. And when you throw up your cards or put it in a chat or a text, or you use some online tool, or you just hold up your hands, 2 points, 3 points, 5 points, you can go low tech, it's fine. You want to be sure that everybody's doing that simultaneously, because then when somebody shows an 8 and another person shows a 1, they can have a conversation to make sure that they're both understanding what the requirements are for this story. And oftentimes you will find that one or the other or both of them haven't quite fully understood what the intended outcome is. So if they're not throwing up their cards simultaneously and they get anchored on a 1 because that was the dev lead's value, then you're not going to have the right conversations, and those kinds of understandings are not going to come out of it. So this is a fantastic way to ensure that when you have an estimation session or grooming or refinement, depending on where you are in the world, that the right conversations are happening, the right kinds of questions are being answered, and the right kind of understanding of the work is coming out of that. This is also a fantastic opportunity for devs and QA to talk about, well, this might be one single 5-minute line of code that I have to change. And for QA, it takes an extra 3 days to test that thing. So if you're not having these conversations because you feel a little weird about having a number that's different because somebody said a 1 and you think it's an 8, then you're going to wind up getting tripped up, and you're not going to be able to plan your sprints very well because your estimates will be off. So that's what I think about planning poker. Whether you use a deck of cards, I don't care. You do, however, have to provide your estimates simultaneously and try not to get anchored on any numbers that are flying around. That's it. That's all I have today. Those are my thoughts on planning poker. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon.